Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
Welcome to the Rockin' Review. That is just amazing. It is the incredibly multi-talented Dom Flemons on the show. You know, wow. Like I told you, it's like, you know, you make it sound so easy. It's just amazing watching and hearing you live, Dom.
Oh, thank you so much, Eric.
Well, and I got to bring up, too, that you've won multiple Grammys. Obviously, you've done stuff with the Country Music Hall of Fame, also with the Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
And many people know you from being on Ken Burns' Country Music.
Yeah.
and you were on another music special back in 2017 before that, but with country music, you're in the intro of every show, Dom.
Yeah, it's been a real honor to be a part of that program. You know, I got to meet Ken Burns last year at an event at the Smithsonian, oddly enough.
Wow.
And when you came up to me, I said, Ken Burns, it's so nice to finally meet you. He said, Dom, I've been seeing you 2 times a night for the past 2.5 weeks. Good to meet you as well. And we got a nice picture, and it's a real honor to be able to frame the documentary as it's set up with the promos. It's just a beautiful thing.
Well, you know, and you know, I have to bring up your album as well, Prospect Hill, which just so many great tracks. We've got a picture of it there and the tintype of you on the front. But you know, the songs are so incredible, Dom, that you decided to put on here. But also with the recording techniques, it sounds great too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I worked with a wonderful engineer, Jason Richmond, who had worked with a lot of world music as well as bebop jazz in his career, amongst some Americana and roots things. But I wanted to treat this album, instead of treating it like a folk recording or a field recording where you have one microphone in the room, I really wanted to get a big classic jazz sound in terms of the recordings, because jazz, a lot of times, especially bebop jazz, tends to be acoustic instruments. And so why not take roots music and put it into that space of recording?
It is so amazing, you know, and you've done so much to get the word out. And I have to bring up also that you're kind of becoming a regular on the Grand Ole Opry. How's that working out?
That's been working out great. You know, I've had a chance to have a relationship with the Grand Ole Opry since 2007. First with the Carolina Chocolate Drops as being one of the first African-American string bands to perform on the program.
And you were a founding member of that band as well.
Yes, I was. I founded that group when I moved out from Phoenix, Arizona to North Carolina in 2005. And so we were able to develop as a group in that way. And then as I've continued forward, I wanted to get back on the Opry again. So I've been playing my material, and then I've been referencing some of the different musicians who have graced that stage, including the great D. Ford Bailey.
Oh, totally. Which is so great to remind people of that, too, with his talent as a harmonica player as well. But, you know, it's interesting, too, because, you know, before we came into the studio, my guys were like, well, what instrument do you think Dom's going to play? I said, I don't know. He could play the quills. He could play the fife. You know, you started out in high school as a percussionist. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I said, whatever he brings in today. You know, it could have brought the big banjo.
Yep, Big Head Joe. Yeah,
which you kind of become known for.
Yeah, Big Head Joe it's been funny because I actually found out who the maker of that instrument was.
Yeah.
And he was an African-American luthier who was worked with James Reese Europe.
Wow.
And so this fellow, Robert McGinnis, he actually branded the instruments that for folks at home, James Reese Europe was a ragtime orchestra leader, and he had a 125 banjo orchestra that he used at Carnegie Hall to break the color barrier in 1912. And so this guy, Robert McGinnis, branded the Clef Club's instruments. Wow. And so Big Head Joe is amongst those instruments. I don't know if he was there at Carnegie Hall, but he was amongst that crowd of instruments there.
But I think it's also incredible, Dom, with what you're doing with your music and how now you're living in Washington and helping with this, to where with the African-American music and how it's been involved, you're really, you know, you're a living example of it.
Yeah, well,
making it today.
Well, you know, it's been a funny thing. Like I tell people all the time, I'm glad to feed the music that's fed me for so long. I came in as a fan and someone very passionate about the music. So when I found an opportunity to become a professional by creating context and awareness for the
Right.
history as well as doing my own music. That was
Certainly.
something that I couldn't pass up an offer like that. That's why I had to pack up my car and go from Arizona to North Carolina and now to D.C. Just keep on following that music.
Well, you know, I've got to bring this up too, Dom, to where weren't you at the Country Music Hall of Fame for like an entire year?
Yes, I was. I was honored this year with my album Dom Flemons Presents Black Cowboys to be a part of the American Currents exhibit for the class of 2018.
Wow. You know, it's so much involvement. It's like, you know, I don't know where to put you. It's like with musicologist, historian, but also you're constantly creating new music. And I love this guitar you brought along today as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a Frellini guitar. This is from a maker by the name of Todd Cambio, who's out of Madison, Wisconsin. And Todd actually started out by doing replica Stella 12-string guitars like Leadbelly.
Yeah.
But he has a whole line of guitars, and this one is a medium-sized parlor body with a regular-sized parlor neck. Yeah. And we ended up developing this particular guitar for me because I wanted an extra little bass boom in it.
Right.
Because I do a lot of mid-range stuff with
especially with your
picking.
thumb picking, and you're picking up some of those bass notes to
That's
carry
right.
a rhythm.
That's right, and so it just has a really beautiful sound, and it continues to sound better as the years go by.
How many total instruments do you play?
Oh, well, on a usual day on stage, I would say I probably have about 7 instruments.
Really?
And in general, I could probably play about 14. But you know, some of them are still in the development stages, like the Cajun accordion, development stages. I got one, I'm working on it, but one day I might pull it out on stage.
I hope you do. Well, I think it's great also. We were talking about the photography to where there are so many incredible pictures of you with the different instruments, and it looks to a throwback to another time, but they're actually created now.
That's correct. A lot of the photography in Prospect Hill specifically comes from Timothy Duffy, who I've worked with for many years through his nonprofit, the Music Maker Relief Foundation, as an artist and then also as a board member. And in the course of time that I was working with Tim between 2013 and 2016, he got really interested and passionate about tintype photography, and I got to watch him develop from little, I don't know, like wallet-sized tintypes to 11 by 14 tintypes, and so we've shot about 150 of these tintypes all together, and so we picked some of the best for this album here.
It's just incredible. I want to bring up also, Dom, what for our viewers, your website, social media, everything else, to be able to keep up with you, to be able to order an autographed copy, maybe some prints of the tintypes eventually. Where should they go?
They should go to theamericansongster.com for all the information there. For the recording, they should go on to omnivorerecordings.com. And then also for my social media, you can just look me up by name, whether it's the American Songster or Dom Flemons, and that's Dom, short for Dominique. And then Flemons with no ing, but M-O-N-S. And yeah, they can find me just about anywhere.
Including on PBS if they turn in almost every night and catch you on one of the many shows you've been on.
That's right.
And also you've acted in other movies too.
I was going to say, if you go into CMT at 3 a.m., they're still showing the Sun Records television program here and there. And you can catch me on episode 1 if you get a chance.
You know, you have a lot of gifts. I mean, you know, I know you got a 2-year-old, but it's like, you know, music, acting, historian, I don't know, Dom. It's hard.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky juggling all of these different things at once, but thankfully at the end of the day, when you boil it down, it comes from a passion with the music, and my wife also shares this passion, and then my little girl Cheyenne Love, she actually shares this passion as well. She can't tell me it yet, but I can tell by the way when she hears some music, she just gets up and starts shaking and dancing right off the bat and starts smiling.
I heard also when she sees you on TV that she likes to do a little dance when she sees Daddy on there, and I can't blame her.
Oh yeah, we were just watching, funny enough, the Ken Burns came on in our hotel room just last night, and she saw me on there and started dancing to Wagon Wheel right there on the spot.
It's so amazing. It's just powerful, Dom, what you're doing. So do you think you're going to have some more music coming out within the next year or so?
Ooh, well, you know, I think probably in the next year and a half there's going to be some more music. I've got a lot of projects underway at the moment, but I don't have the exact dates on those new projects. But Prospect Hill is something that it was selling so well on the table that when the album went out of print, I wanted to reissue it because I knew that it needed to get into people's hands. And I made this record and scrutinized every detail so that when you put it on, you can listen to it all the way through and listen to all the different reverberations of American music. So I'm just glad to see this one come out and see it get a big push and that people are really enjoying it thus far.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love it. I think they need to do a documentary on you.
Oh, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Uh-oh.
And all the things that you're accomplishing and keeping this music alive, and also, you know, with a foot in folk and with bluegrass and blues and Americana and everything, you're covering it all, but you do it seamlessly.
Oh, well, you know, that's part of the concept around the idea of the American Songster as a moniker, because the American Songster, a songster in the 19th century, was a small book of lyrics that you could do. It was like kind of like a secular version of a hymnal.
Right.
And so over time you had musicians that would take on the moniker of songster as a communal musician who played a lot of different material. So I took that term and I decided to modernize it because I saw as the digital age was coming in, I saw that a multifaceted musician that played multiple genres is much more in line with how we listen and think about music now.
Totally.
Compared to I think before the digital age, I think genre placement was so important that it had to be in place. It had to be set in that sort of way. But I feel in the 21st century, the idea of the songster is it's a much more futuristic idea. So I wanted to bring that all together, and that allows me to be in folk and in bluegrass, old time, blues, jazz, wherever they may need my services.
I think they all do. I'll tell you what, he is the American Songster. Don Flemons, be sure and get your own copy, Prospect Hill, but go see him live. Go to the website, follow him on social media. This is just an incredible album. You're going to love every song on here. You want to get your own copy, or however you consume music, whether you download singles, but I say get the whole album, and also go see this guy live. And he's going to be playing the Opry again soon, I'm sure of that. It's Don Flemons. Thanks for watching The Rockin' Review.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.